on the Wado Radio Show.
Yes, DJ Wado. It's the Wado Radio Show. It's more than music. It's ministry. And I got a special guest, man. He told us to pray for Kanye at one point. He told us to occupy Mondays at one point. He told us about LV Envy at one point. Put out a project called Run at one point. Lecrae said this man was the future of the game, him and his cousin. And he's on the line with us right now, man. JGivens, what's up, brother?
What up? Wado Radio Show. Where it's more than music, it's ministry.
You always hit me with that when you come on,
Cause I'm trying to steal Kristen's spot, man.
You trying to steal that spot?
I love that intro. Never change it. It's the Wado Radio Show.
Yeah, he laced me with that joint, bro. He wrote that too. Like, that's the crazy part. Like, we ain't even give him that. We just basically gave him the beat. And I don't know if Show was on it yet, but yeah, man. So, what's crack-a-lacking, brother?
Good, man. I'm excited. I'm just excited that all of everything that we've had like in our brains as far as the art and everything is out. Like, I'm glad everybody gets to see it. It's a giant painting that we finally get to show people. I mean, I haven't been keeping really any secrets. It's been all secret, but I've been leaking everything since like its inception. So,
yeah, your Periscope been lit, brother.
Yeah, for those that follow me on Periscope or Snapchat, they knew the album title, the cover. People that see me live, they done seen the cover on my phone. I got a homie in Chicago that actually. Yeah, not Last Legacy, but the one before that. I played for him Fahrenheit 99 out of my phone in a demo like 2 years ago.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm excited though that it's almost all the way out and people are gonna get to hear it and it's really dope. It's a good time.
You know, man, you've had one of the best rollouts I've seen for an album in our scene.
Wow, thank you.
In a long time. I mean, obviously, Reach always kills it with the rollouts, but I think even just the creativity in yours from the music videos and all that stuff, man. And I'm just wondering, man, like, how'd you come up with a lot of that stuff, man, and just, how you collab with the label to do all of that, man, because you got a very visual brand,
Yeah. Well, I really wanted to bring kind of a Disney experience to the project, and I try to do that with all of like my marketing, I guess. It's like a mixture of like art and commerce, and so when I was in engineering school, I wanted to be a Disney Imagineer. I mean, I wanted to be an Imagineer since I was 8, and so everything is rolled out in that fashion with kind of whatever I do. Even in high school and college, like doing events and stuff, there was always, you get your ticket and that's a big event. You stand in line, that's something. You get on, you get the preview video before you even get on the ride. Then you get on the ride, then you get off the ride and there's an exit experience. And so really for me, it was about bringing everyone into the story, into the narrative, into all of the images of what this album was about. And unbeknownst to everyone, I was hoping that I would put them into that world before they even heard the album. And so that was everything from the mystery of all of the aspects of Instagram to the colors were extremely important to me, and just working closely with my good friend Christian Padron. Actually, before I had got signed to Humble Beast, we were kind of talking about this album and stuff, and then I got signed, and the label kind of just. The label just did what Humble Beast does. I'm really grateful for the label for allowing me to do my art. I've never had any issues of creative control or anything like that. Working alongside Braille and Odd Thomas. I mean, Braille as an A&R, he's exceptional. I mean, he gets it and then he enhances what I do. So I've learned so much from being on the label. So passing all of his art through the label and getting this product, it's almost surreal. I mean, it actually is surreal, not even almost surreal. So yeah,
Wow,
I mean,
man.
so all the trees and the sky and the orange, even the orange pants on the green background, like that was important to us. You know what I mean? And so yeah, it's all a Disney experience pretty much.
How did you do the cover? Like, were you really falling from something, or like, how did y'all do that?
Yeah, so there was or there is a member of Brian's church. She has a house in I believe the city is Hillcrest, a little bit outside of Portland, and so she has like this giant backyard, like a couple of acres, and there's like a forest in her backyard.
Wow.
And so yeah,
Wow.
so that was a blessing. He sent out a message, and she let us come and use her trampoline, her kids' trampoline, and so that was actually shot on a trampoline. And the way that her house is situated on the hill, we were able to compose the shot, and Christian took that photo. We were able to compose the shot so it looked. So, I mean, we were up high. So when I was jumping on the trampoline, if you look at it, I was higher just because we were already elevated. And so yeah, I mean, that was a hard shoot too, bro. Like I was falling. I cracked my head open the first time. I didn't realize how dangerous a trampoline can be and why there's a trampoline sport in the Olympics. It was a hard shoot. It was scary too. Wow. I had to jump my highest, and I was falling all the way down from that high. So it was exciting though. I definitely did a stunt with that cover.
And no stuntman.
No stuntman. Jackie Chan. Jet Li.
That is crazy, bro. Another thing, man, I was sharing this with you before, bro. Like, having heard the album, when I first heard Ignorantro, I didn't realize that was the intro to the album.
Yeah.
Because typically, people don't, the first song on the album, that's typically not a single. And then when you see it, it's like, oh, this is the ignorant intro.
Yeah. Yeah, the ignorant rant intro. I think that rant came later. I mean, actually that was, I can't even take credit for that title. When I recorded the song, it started off and I was like, okay, well, this album's going to be the album is all about me, and it pretty much is about me from 2013, from LV Envy on, getting signed, flying around, doing shows, people saying you're dope, all this stuff. And so, as far as hip hop mechanics, I was like, well, I got to write a battle rap because a lot of cats I was inspired to write it because a lot of cats, I think in our sub genre and in independent music, so many people are saying, we did it without a cosign and all this stuff. And I don't really, and along with other things, cats are just flexing. And so I was like, well, all right, here goes. Like, I got to write a battle rap and I'm going to flex on absolutely everybody. Because since flexing is a new thing, then, Humble Beast, we can do that too. And so it was like my first time ever actually writing like a battle rap. And so I told Braille, I was like, yo, okay, when we went to record it, I was like, okay, this one is a battle rap. And he was kind of coaching me on how to do it and talking me through it. And I got that. I asked him, like, he was like, what's the title? And I was like, bro, I don't even know. And he's the one that was like, Ignorantro. And I was like,
bro,
what? Are you kidding me? I was like, yeah, we're doing that. And I think he was halfway joking. But the thing about Braille is like his humor is so like dry that like he'll joke. But then if you run with it, then it wasn't a joke. But if not, then it was a joke, but maybe not. So yeah. I just, anything that Braille says artistically, even if he's joking, I'm like, yeah, that's it. Let's just do it.
Yeah. And I think too, man, even when people are joking, there's always a hint of truth in it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it was encouraging for him because, I mean, we developed such a relationship together working. I mean, we worked for about 6 months, on the album in the same room. And so for me to just take his suggestion, like, yeah, just on a ministry type thing, like, yeah, my brother offered me a suggestion, I'm going to take it. It's a gift. And I think that really helped him to be able to be critical of me and to be able to accept criticism and vice versa. So even that, accepting that, I think really solidified like what our working relationship was going to be like creatively. And it turned out great.
Yeah. Yeah. So this whole concept of fly exam, man, just break that down for people, bro.
So, in short, fly exam is the test or the tests that we take in order to fly. And so it rhymes with eye exam, and I actually was going to do a project years ago called anaglyphs on eye exams. And an anaglyph is is a 3D photo, like when you put on 3D glasses, the blue and the red. It's called an anaglyph. And so I had this eye chart thing that I wanted to do. It was all about vision, and actually what you see in previously in 2011, I put out Occupy Mondays mixtape, and you see anaglyphs on everything. And I was doing a 3D thing that was for that project, and so that actually turned out to not be a complete album, and what you got is Occupy Mondays, a mixtape. But I was so on that eye exam thing, and then I started flying around the world, and so I was listening to Neverland, the song that came out from Andy Mineo, and the first thing I thought when Mars said I'll never land, and going along with this whole culture of like we're flying, we're doing this. The first thing I thought is like, well, what if you do? Like, how hard would you smack into the ground? And I thought about the story of Icarus flying too close to the sun, and it was at that moment that the Lord was just like downloading all of this stuff, like boom, 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 do this, do this, do this. I'm talking colors, like everything, and I was sick one night, and I was waking up I woke up like maybe 14 times that night, like an overnight flu type thing. And every time I woke up, I got an idea for this fly exam thing. Even the title, I got it. And so I just started writing it down, and that's what it is. So it's the test that we take in order to fly, and the ups and downs of life. And it's based on Ecclesiastes. And I wanted to be able to convey that all of these flights and all of these shows and all of these things that we value in life, they're all a chasing of the wind. In comparison to preaching the gospel and living for the Lord. And so this is the story of, ups and downs of me from LV and beyond, and some in retrospect on some songs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, like I heard a lot of themes around just pride and vanity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, especially to tend to get in, with the whole vanity piece, man. Is pride. Obviously, it sounds like that's something that you wrestle with, because you're starting to get a certain level of success. I think people are looking at you more as a leader, even more so in the past, in terms of like, where this thing could be going with your music career, man, and just, how are you managing that, bro?
Right. I think that with music right now, it's just it's a different paint job. But historically, I've always been the same, same leadership potential. Maybe not on the scale that music offers me. And so that pride thing, I mean, that's been since academia. I was raised that, you have to go to college, and especially like my mom was real to life, as far as like, you're black and this is America, and you need to be the smartest person in the room in order to be eligible for second place. And so like that whole, like, I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm smarter than you. That's been a big thing. Like when people will call me stupid, like it could just be even playing when I was younger though. And people are like, "Oh, you stupid." Like, no, I'm not stupid. And I'm going to live my life striving to show you how much I'm not stupid and how much I'm smarter and more elite than anybody around. And so, like getting more involved in the faith and actually being proactive about like giving the gospel message and being on Humble Beast, I think that's something that we continue to wrestle with, and that's where kind of ignorantro comes from. It's like, I know I'm talented. I know my raps are dope. And so what I'm going to do with this intro is I'm going to just say what everybody's thinking, say what I'm thinking, and I'm going to say it. And that way we can get it out there, because there's so much in hip hop, with it being an aesthetic of like of being like braggadocious and an arrogant aesthetic. It's like you might as well use that aesthetic in order to expose it and then deal with it for the rest of the project. And so So yeah, so from the heart condition, it's like, even with the battle rap, it's like from a heart condition of, if I actually believe what I'm saying, then that's completely arrogant. But if my heart is postured in a way where I can assess what I'm saying and saying it out loud as an extrovert and then fixing it, then that's where that comes from. But either way, I think it's true. You know, are my rhymes dope? Yeah. Are people thirsty? Yep. You know, is that an elephant in the room on some people's personas and who they copied? Is that an elephant in the room? Yes, it is. You know, but then what do we do with that? Or does that even matter? And, you know, and I'll add this, like with Humble Beast, you know, my friend Quan, he always says, like, look at people's ministries, look at the names, and you can see what people deal with. If you look at Humble Beast, then you know, okay, they probably struggle with humility. And that's why they're seeking to do this endeavor to help with that. I'll just throw out, you know, I don't know this for a fact, but I would assume like maybe like a God over money. You know, if you listen to Bizzle's testimony, I mean, he was trying to get money, and so he comes to the Lord. Let me make this about what my vice was, so that I can fix this. And so yeah, the pride thing is definitely huge and definitely manifests in different ways, like in my life.
So are you passing the fly exam, you think?
You know what? Here's the thing. You don't pass it on your own. I think that's the beauty of the gospel. Like, no one could pass the fly exam. The way to ascend to heaven is through Christ. So even though you know, with the Greek story with Icarus trying to fly close to the sun on his dad's own invention, and on human inventions, he failed and he died. There's no way that we can climb the Tower of Babel without God knocking it down and splitting up the languages. You know, we can't do it. It's his son. So am I passing it? I would say yes. And I will, you know, and he'll constantly perfect us until the day of Jesus Christ. And so really it's like life is ups and downs. It's valleys and hills. And it's how you deal with it in the Lord, and how you persevere through.
Man, one of the things that I really appreciate about this project is I feel like the number of projects that come out now where I walk away from the project knowing Jesus is the most important thing to that artist are becoming few and far between. And I felt like when I listened to this one, even though there's a lot of metaphors in it, and you gotta really pay attention to what you're saying. When you start to understand, you know, these themes and you know, some of the metaphor, like even the 10 to get in, like, you know, I had to go back and make sure I understood how to play dominoes. You know what I'm saying? So I could get some of the metaphors. But when you understand that, boom, it's like, you see, man, yo, Jesus is the most, and it's always been that way in your music, but I think you've gotten even more gifted in your writing now.
Wow, thank you.
So it's like, yeah, bro, yeah, man. So,
yeah, I've been challenged, you know, to work on my writing. That's been kind of one of the stresses from Prop, just working with him for like 4.5 years now. He said at the beginning, this is actually going back to that to Occupy Mondays, what it was before. Yep. I had sent him those songs, and I was like, I'm working on this album, and he said these are kind of, I mean, you killing it, but this isn't really an album. And he said, what you need to prove is that and I put out Occupy Monday and stuff, and then he was like, what you need to kind of work on next is anyone can be a good rapper. He said, but what's timeless is you want to be a good writer. And so that was my first like try with that advice, with that challenge from Prop, was when I wrote Beyond Venu on LV Envy. And so that's why it's like, big homie told me, Jay, focus on painting pictures. So I just started painting pictures, and I'm really excited that the writing has gotten better, because I've really been trying hard since that conversation to be able to write well.
What's that mean for you to paint pictures, bro?
It means like one good like hip hop picture painter, in my opinion, is Nas. It's the picture is painted in the details. So, you know, when he says like on one mic, Like he says all this stuff going on, but like the little stuff that doesn't matter, like a fiend drops his Heineken. Like that didn't matter, but it matters so much to the actual imagery. You see the green glass, you see a color, you know, and so yeah, it's like the descriptions, the colors, and like the weather, the feel of how things are. Another song or another verse I did was on Mars's album or her EP, the title track Blur. That was all shapes and sound. I mean, I used the five senses and mangled them all up. And so if you can get like a listener or a reader to smell something that's not there, then that's a dope picture.
It's good, bro. It's good, man. I feel like, man, it's interesting you talk about painting the pictures. Like you have this visual brand that I feel like is kind of built around your Instagram and is carrying over into your music videos and, you know, the whole 9 yards, where it's like, dog, it's like super intentional, bro. Like, you know, it's like the color scheme on your Instagram. And I remember I was around you one time, bro, and I was seeing how much thought you put into even like editing the pictures. Like when you took the picture with my son and put it on your Instagram, I was like, yo, you like, cause I took that picture and I'm like, it didn't look as good the one I took versus what you put on the Instagram. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like that level of creativity, man.
Yeah, and it was also an exercise of just skills. I wanted to when I first took like a photo on Instagram, what I would consider like a photo, I was walking in Long Beach and I stopped at an overpass and I was looking at other photographers, and what I was kind of like trying to be a photographer. So it was like what is that called? Method acting. Like I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to unfollow any nonsense on Instagram and I'm going to follow only photographers and I'm going to try to go be one.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. And so I stopped and it took me like maybe 6 seconds to like compose a shot, and I put it up. I used like the Hype Beast preset or something. And I just threw it up, and all of a sudden all of these photographers started commenting. And I was like, whoa, I think we got something. And so then I started to pay attention because I do graphic design. I was doing that before, music. And so colors and tones were important. So I just started studying like photography. And honestly, I would say that I started really getting closely following Christian Padron because he had just recently had become a photographer. And so the stuff that he was caring about, I just took it upon myself to care about it. And before I knew it, I was kind of like sucked in, and now I care about it. And so, yeah, the tone, the way that you look at a grid, like all that stuff, I saw talented artists, visual artists doing that, and I wanted to do it, and I tried it, and now I can't. Now it's kind of like it's like a thing. Like if the grid is messed up, or if the colors don't go, or the mood doesn't, you don't feel the mood, then it's not a dope Instagram to me.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. Do you who is some of the people you draw inspiration from on that? Like obviously you mentioned Christian, but just apart from him,
I would say like I like Spike Jonze.
Yep.
I like Spike Lee. I would say as far as like right now we study. There's a director. His name is Nabil. We've been studying him for years. He's responsible for a lot of early like Kanye West photography and Frank Ocean's visual brand. And like he did like FK Twig's video as of recent. But I mean, me and when I say we, I mean me and Christian Padron, like we'll stand him. Like we're all over. We follow everything he does, and his style is just dope. There's another cat named Khalil Joseph. He's in LA. He actually he did the short film for Good Kid, Mad City, Double Conscious, which was in the Museum of Contemporary Art. So Christian and I actually went to go see that. And the way that, I mean, the way that he depicts stuff, he's done some stuff with Flying Lotus, like that whole like circle of kind of like visual, kind of high end, but abstract looking art. Like that's what we vibe off of. So, and there's another photographer named Adam Freeland, who we found an article on him, and he actually made this like cropped, he made a box and cut a rectangular hole in it, put the box on a hill, went inside the box and took photos of Los Angeles and Runyon Canyon. And so that's kind of where we got the crop idea for Ignorantro. and that shot style for the video was we were case studying Steve McQueen.
You would tell me, man, that like a lot of just the art you create, whether it's music, whether it's, your IG grid, your music videos, like you basically just do the stuff that you like, and you kind of build the fan base from that, like people that kind of are attracted to that. I know a lot of artists look at that and they'll say, well, man, I got to make this kind of record for this audience, and I got to do this for that, and like you never fell in the formula, man.
You know why? Because the thing about it is everyone has different interests, and so for us to like my brand was dictated by what people told me, what they told me they saw. So my persona, I try best for it to be me. That way I don't have to try hard. I can just be myself. I can dress like how I dress. If people, one of my friends, he said, dude, I never seen you without a hat on years ago. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. Then you never will. And so I just made it a part of my part of my brand. Oh, you do that mouth over hand over your mouth thing. Like I only do that because somebody was like, yo, that's cool. Do it again. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'll do it all the time. And and so with that, when artists like try to seek out for a particular demographic, it kind of I don't know, you kind of cheat yourself in a way, because there's people that are gonna like what you like, and so if you be authentically what you like and who you are, then those people will gravitate towards you. And at the beginning, it may seem like an L or a loss because most people are looking for a certain type of thing, but in the long run, if you stick to it, you'll continue to get the people that like your stuff. You'll continue to get the engineering nerds and the math people that are like, dude, don't ever change. I know what F equals MA means. You're dope. You're doing it for us, because they're like you. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I never try to seek out a demographic. What I do is, if a demographic comes to me, then I'll analyze what I have to offer that demographic and then try my best to serve it. And so when it's the photographers on Instagram, if they're saying my stuff is dope, then it's a service to them wanting to be inspired from me to try to get better at photography and color.
Yeah. I remember at Legacy, Lecrae made that post with you and John, your cousin.
Yeah, man.
And basically said you guys were next.
Dude, we got like 500 followers in 20 minutes. That was crazy. the funny, because you were, well, no, that was during the poetry thing, so you weren't up on stage, but you were obviously there. But when me and John, we kick it. So if it's like if John is somewhere and I'm there, I'm probably with him. Like, and so we walk, and I'm like, look, dude, let me see your phone. He like, dude, my phone blowing up. Like, I'm like, me too. And statistically, like in as far as analytics, it was pretty consistent, like how many follows we got off of that tweet. But that was crazy, man. And what was not awkward, but what was funny is we were standing with him because we were watching the poetry show, and he took the picture. Like, I was just talking to John. Like, I won't say we were goofing off, but we were low key goofing off a little bit. And so, I looked over, and Lecrae was like squatted down, like taking a photo. And I was like, oh snap. And I was like, hey dude, like pose. And so then he took the picture and he put it up right there. And so it was weird because we were standing with him, but then he posted the picture. So I looked at my phone, and then I waited like maybe 2 minutes, and I was like, hey bro, thanks for that, bro. Thank you. But because it was like, okay, do I say thank you now? I just seen it, he acting like he didn't just do it, like. but that was dope. I mean, that was really encouraging. A lot of people back home were just like tripping out, and I mean, they're tripping out that I even met Lecrae, let alone that he's putting us on his Instagram. And for that to happen to me and John at the same time, I would say that's exactly
right.
what we prayed for between the two of us always. So it's tight.
Man, will we get a Cousin Neighbor album at some point?
Probably. It's up to John. Now, I mean, like, we've been like looking forward to that. One thing that we really value about Cousin Neighbor is just like our chemistry and like what we're able to create together. And so even on the what I'd call the Cousin Neighbor joint that's on Fly Exam, it's called Take Off With Me. We worked really hard to make that song whatever Cousin Neighbor's sound was. I mean, we really only have like LM2FY to base off of, and people's, you know, feedback on what they think we are, or what they like about us. And so yeah, man, if I that would be dope. Honestly, I mean, to be completely candid, as of right now, I feel like, you know, with John putting out Soul Rebel and he's on tour doing his thing, and I'm about to, you know, put out my album. I mean, if these go well, these are good. These will probably go for a couple of years. I wouldn't mind like being just doing Cousin Neighbor, to be honest. I mean, I don't know what that means. I'm just talking to you, or I guess I'm talking to the interview. But I mean, right now, I love working with John. Like he's like my favorite artist to work with, and I get so much inspiration from him that it's like a no-brainer to do a project with him, or even just be a band.
Wow. You know, it's funny, man. Like, I remember when you guys kind of first started hitting the scene, everybody was like mixing y'all up because your names were so similar. But I think as you guys have developed as artists, like it's almost kind of funny because you guys are so different. Like you have some of the same skill sets, obviously. Like, you know, he can sing, you can sing a little bit, and you know, you guys are incredible MCs.
Thanks for the little bit. I appreciate the little bit. Because I would have said at all before Super Low Key came out, or and I was like, oh, they like it? Okay, cool. Because I thought I was going to embarrass myself.
Nah, you was holding it down, bro.
I'm not a lead vocalist. I can stack harmonies well.
There you go. But I'm just like, to me, it's just it's. I mean, I know you guys are related and all of that, but it's like you guys are so different as artists. But when y'all come together, it just freaking works, dog. Yeah.
I think we have what the other person doesn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
One thing that John always would kind of mentor me on was making music that tried to. He said, "I'm good at making people think because I think very logically and analytically, or whatever." He was like, "You got to try your hardest to write to make people feel a certain way." And vice versa. Like John can make you feel with everything makes you feel something. What John gives, like everything makes you feel something. And so one thing that he was working on was like working on the different like puzzle piece type things with wordplay to make people think. And so when you put us together, I think that like that cousin, that's what you get, like two important pieces of music. And so our music together will have both, I'm assuming, I hope.
Yeah. I think that's a good call, bro. Speaking of wordplay, man, you got this song on the album called Hummingbird Stance.
Yes.
And when I first heard it, I had to listen to it like 5 times in a row.
Dope. I'm glad you made it 5 times. What'd you say? I said, I'm glad you made it 5 times in a row. That's huge.
Well, I just kept rewinding it because I was like, the wordplay in it, like I couldn't catch everything.
Uh-huh.
Like I still don't think that's part of what I'm about to ask you is explain that song. Okay,
so the title is Hummingbird. The Hummingbird is important to kind of the message of the song, based on a particular friend of mine. His name is Kerry Hancock, and he has a ministry called Death by Meth. And so I was really impacted by that ministry and his testimony. He actually was going to commit suicide years back, and his suicide letter, because he was addicted to meth and his family was in shambles, and it's meth addiction, so you can kind of get that picture with the title. And so he was suicidal, and he wrote a poem called Death by Meth. And he was just talking about how he ruined his life and how he was going to kill himself, and he was sorry to his wife and his kids, and he was sorry, but he had to go. And so he told the Lord, he said, well, I'm going to do this, God. He's kind of mad or, whatever, and emotional. He's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to kill myself unless you show me a sign. And as a matter of fact, I want to see a hummingbird. And if you don't show me a hummingbird in the next 24 hours, then I'm going to do it tomorrow. And so the next day rolls around, and he was about to do it, and he didn't see a hummingbird, and he was like, understatement, but he was like, oh man, now I got to kill myself. That's like a huge understatement. But but he was going to do it. And then all of a sudden, like, he got this phone call from a friend, and he hadn't talked to her in years. Like, it was the most random phone call from the most random person. And she was like, "Hey, Carrie, how you doing? I know we haven't talked in a while. I'm just checking in with you, though. I saw this picture of, I saw this hummingbird outside my window, and so it reminded me of you, and so I called you." And that was how, yeah. And so he took that poem and made his ministry about meth recovery called Death by Meth. And he kept the poem, and he kept his life. And so he told me a couple years ago, he said, he was like, "Yo, here's $100. I don't know what this will do." He said, "But whenever you get a chance, I don't even care when, but can you make a song about suicide and drug addiction and call it Hummingbird or something like that?" And so that's this song. And the story that's in the song is actually my story. And so, I had the same struggle with the same vice, and, meth sucks. It sucks. It's whack. And so this song was an opportunity. The first verse is an allegory. It's about a suicidal building that jumps off of a man. And so I just kind of switched roles. Like all of the inanimate objects and buildings and windmills and liquor stores and bus stops and the streets and the trees, they all take on, human personas, and then all the humans are just inanimate objects. So and everyone's asking, the word got around that the building jumped off of a man and committed suicide, and now the other buildings are like, they're dealing with it. The windmill is a stripper, is a dancer, and she goes to work waving her hands, and she feels bad, but she's got to turn off her emotion because she's at work. And then so that's how it kind of opens up, kind of in the middle, and it opens up in a story. If you notice on the album, all of the allegories, they just kind of start like, and so apparently like in the middle of a sentence. And that's because I wanted to show, like with Ecclesiastes, Solomon says, like, everything, there's nothing new under the sun. So basically it's like, yo, you just got here. So I'm not going to go recap the beginning of the story. You just showed up in the middle of this conversation. Let's roll. This is life. And then as the song keeps going, the second verse is more practical. It's like, that's literally me, like, not able to help, my friends in depression, because I was depressed and addicted as well, and kind of relishing in that addiction. And then it spiraled downward into like ODing on a bathroom floor, being suicidal and reaching out for help. And so that's kind of that's my story right before I started doing music. And so that's a struggle. And I talked about it on the song, and I wanted to be able to highlight that part, one, because drug addiction it's not socially okay, but then when you start getting into like what types of drugs and what types of narcotics, it becomes even more and more dirty, and so it's harder to like confess that stuff. And so I wanted to get a chance to like, it's hard to say it, but to say it out loud and on a song, just to get it out there and help people. And so, yeah, that's Hummingbird Stance. It's the story of don't jump. There's God's here, and he's got you. And I'm sending this hummingbird to remind you that you don't need to take your life. I've already given mine for you.
Amen, bro. How did you overcome your addiction?
Every day. Man, it's every day. There's a line in the song that says like, "A whirlwind of white smoke swirls through the pipe slow." That image is haunting. It's haunting. In my college years, I've done a whole gambit of experimenting with drugs, all different types, all different colors and shapes, and all different trips. But the coke one was just a social thing, being in Southern California. But then when that led into meth, that image of a whirlwind of white smoke is it's haunting. I hate it. Wow. And so it's like, my pastor Ryan, he says, because he suffered from meth addiction too and survived, and he said that it's not leaving the process. And the process is get up in the morning, read your word, pray, and take it day by day. And so it's not like I don't know how to answer how have I overcome. I can just say that I'm overcoming daily. And it's the ups and downs of life, and you can't forget the process, and you have to simplify it. It's not a big psychological triumph. It's just like you're a 5-year-old and you gotta do your little routine.
Yo, did you Like, could you watch a show like Breaking Bad?
I never saw it. I maybe I could now, but it's off now, so I missed it. But I never saw it because I didn't want to see those images. I was already having a hard enough time dealing with the images that were in my head, and so people were talking about how it was just composed so dope and all this stuff, and I was just like, man, I don't even want to do that. Like, I don't want to look into that, because I mean, it's literally all it's for me. It's like it's image. It's like you get a painting in your head, and then you forget about all the consequences, and you just go for it. And so I got to keep certain paintings out of my head. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not good. You know, I've struggled, like, even from people, you know, knowing me as JGivens, you know, and that's kind of difficult for me to say. I kind of talk about it obviously in the album a little candidly, but yeah, it's a day-to-day thing, you know, and I hate it. You know, I scream at God sometimes, you know, not scream at him, but just yell, like, why did I ever try that stuff? Like, what was I thinking? You know, why? Even all the way back to, like, just smoking my first joint in high school. It's like, why did I even try that? Why did I do that? Like, what was I thinking? I wish I would have never even tried it. Not one time. So, you know, I probably will watch Breaking Bad for, like, maybe the film components, because I heard, like, no shot is wasted and all that. But, you know, it's a little heavy for me.
Man, don't watch it.
Yeah, you know, like, nah, I don't think I need to. Plus, I mean, I'm late. If I watched it and be like, oh, you see that? People be like, man, you like 5 years late. So, you know, I got to stay avant-garde.
Yeah.
I gotta stay in the front. People can't know I'm late on stuff. But one thing about the album that was a real triumph for me was that it's broken up into side A, which is the first 7 songs, and that's So High.
Yeah, it's like a tape.
What's that?
Like a tape.
Yeah, like a tape or like a record, like all analog. So we were going 80s analog. And side A is So High and side B is So Low. And it's talking about pride. Like, Ignorantro was on pride. But I mean, as you listen through it, and if you listen again through it, a lot of that stuff, I'll just be straight up, a lot of that stuff is about drugs. It's about me being a dope rapper and dealing with drug addiction. And so when I say high, you know, and I know a lot of cats will talk about high metaphorically, but that's on Butterfly Stance, the second song. You don't have to fly so high, you don't have to drive so high. I'm literally saying drive home high. Like, why did I do that? This sucks. I hate this. Lord, I wish I had come home you. I wish I had come home with you. Why did I come home as me? Because this sucks. Now let me open up GarageBand and sing this. And so that song, yeah, I wrote that in that emotion. Like, my medicine for that emotion in that time was, I'm gonna open up GarageBand and record this. And I sang that to God.
Deep. How long did it take you to write this album and even some of the songs, man?
Well, it was funny because I had been writing them through life. So I mean, right when LVNV, well, not right when LVNV dropped, I'll say when I got that cold, it was like, I think that's when, like, that was at the road show. I don't know what month that was, but I would say maybe about a year and a half. But this was like getting signed. This was like moving to Long Beach, living with DJ Effecto for a year, going on tour. Like, all these different voice notes and just song titles and concepts were in my phone. So I had like 300 voice notes, and, you know, I had "You Just Might Get to Know Me" like in my phone, just singing that over and over. And so when I got to Portland to record, Braille was like, okay, well, we want to have, you know, at least 6 songs done, and then that way we'll be good on pace. And I got up there and I realized I had all these ideas and not one song written. And so I wrote most of it actually in Portland, and that first trip there was about 2.5 weeks, and I was 3 weeks. So I wrote everything and recorded everything in 3 weeks.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Now the concepts and, you know, like the track. Yeah, nah. I mean, 10 to Get In, for example, we did that song. I went in and I recorded the first verse that I had. I had the hook in my voice note. And And I was like, okay, this is going to be about dominoes. It's going to be about getting money. And then, 10 commandments, like Jesus doing the 10 to get us in. And when I got up there and recorded my first verse, I went in and Braille was like, he was nice about it, but he was like, yeah, bro. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else? 'Cause that verse is cool, but you kind of got to own this song, and you really don't want to end that verse with that line. And so, and he was nice, but basically he was saying, I don't know, bro, this is kind of whack, and you're not gonna put I Thomas on this because you're gonna die. And so, I mean that song, I did that whole thing that night. I was like, all right, let's scrap it. That night he went home. I stayed up all night and did a demo on my computer, wrote that whole song, and then came back the next day and recorded it.
Wow.
So yeah, it depends. Some songs are faster, some songs are slower. And when I say slower, I mean sometimes you just got to go through more life to actually get that song done. I can say that I don't think any of those songs were like a one sitting type thing. Well, 10 to Get In kind of was, but most of them were life. Like they were written over a span of time.
Wow. What about the last song with Propaganda, bro? They said there'd be jetpacks. You guys sit and wrote that together, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so the first version of that song, we actually wrote it. He wasn't in Portland at that time when we first wrote it. We wrote it over voice message on the iPhone, the little voice recorder. So I wanted to make sure that, like, if I wanted,
hold on, what do you mean by that? Like,
you know how
you
like
would
you do the
say a couple bars, then he would send you back a couple.
Yeah. Wow. I wanted to do a back and forth, but I didn't want it to be like a typical structure. I wanted us to be like rapping off of each other's end lines or even in the middle lines, and like that way the cadence, the flow patterns, the wordplay would still be intertwined between each other. And so So I was like, I'll give you 2 bars. I think I open it up with like 4 bars, and then he goes for like 6, and then I go for 2, and then he goes for 8. And I wanted it to be organic, like we were in the same room. So we wrote it out. Wow. We tried to record it remotely. That didn't really work out. And so when we actually shot the 10 to Get In video, Prop flew up just for the day to be in that video. And then after we were done with the shoot, you kind of see like Braille at the end of the video. He comes up to the table and I think he says like, I'm practicing, my dominoes. And when we cut, he was like, all right, look, we got to go. That's why I came up. We got to go back to the studio. And so the version on the album, we actually did that in the studio together. And so that made that song go off way better for the aesthetic that I wanted. And we came up with a hook that day that we shot the 10 to Get In video and sang it. And it was a blast. Like, it was always been like a dream to like work with Propaganda for me. And it was funny that we had known each other for so long and we did How Did We Get Here on Crimson Chord, but that was remote. And so this time we actually got to be in the studio together, and I think it translates in the song well. And I wanted to end it on that kind of celebratory note.
Well, honestly, I would like to hear more from y'all like that, bro. Like that's
Dude,
what
me
left
too.
me wanting to hear. Yeah,
because Prop did that, and he writes so fast. Like I write fast when I need to. But I usually take the leisure of like trying to compose my thoughts and my words. That dude comes up with the most profound stuff, like in a freestyle. And so it was definitely like a learning curve. I mean, I would spend like 10 minutes writing 4 bars, and he would send back 8 bars like in the next text. And I'm like, this dude is an animal. So
yeah, that's crazy, bro. So let's talk about this 10 to Get In video.
Yes, sir.
Like, this mug is like, I think I tweeted this. I was at the Poets in Autumn tour over the weekend, and 4 different people came up to me and asked me if I saw that video. And I've never really
dope. That's so dope.
Yeah, bro. Like, I wasn't expecting that. And obviously, I mean, just the 3-6, I mean, it's crazy. But who came up with that? And what was, just walk us through the creation process of that video, bro.
Okay, so first off, the idea to even do, like, that video was really impromptu. The idea to even do the video we were talking. It was when I was on tour with Beautiful Eulogy during Legacy. So that's what, mid July.
Yep.
And
wow.
Yeah,
This
it was.
is, like,
I mean, that was
recent. Like, that's,
it was
like,
recent, bro. Like recent.
Wow.
And so we were there. We were talking about doing a 10 to get in video. We were kind of brainstorming ideas over like breakfast, and then we were kind of talking about this idea to make the domino the vantage point. So like if there was a camera in the middle of the domino, so when it's face down, that's you, and then up. And so we were going back and forth brainstorming different ideas, and then it was kind of at that. And so what happened was I missed my flight on the way up to the Midwest, so I had to get another flight before that tour. And I didn't know that if you miss a flight, you have to let the airlines know because they'll cancel your return flight. So when I was leaving Chicago, I didn't have a return flight. And so I was like kind of bummed out about it, and I had to like come out of pocket. And so I called Thomas, or I called Brian, and I was like, yo, I got to get a flight from Chicago. Do you think that if I fly to Portland, can you guys get me home? And they were like, yeah. And so I flew from Legacy to Portland and stayed there for 2 weeks. And meanwhile, I had this text from Christian Padron, like I said earlier, and he sent a video that Nabil had just did with the band, and it was a 360 video. And that was the first time that I had seen it. And that whole 360 technology on YouTube has been out for maybe like 6 months. And so I was like,
yeah.
And he's like, yo, this is dope. And so I sent it to Thomas, and I was like, yo, how do we do this? And he was like, I don't know. And so kind of left it at that. We go to Portland. It's like, I don't know. So I fly to Portland to finish the album pretty much. And he's researching. And when Thomas and Cortland and Anthony Benedetto, our creative director, they went into that office and they were researching for like 8 hours straight. And then Thomas comes out and he's like, yo, I just bought the camera. Let's just try to figure it out. And we scheduled for the next week to do for Renee Garzona to make tacos in Cortland's backyard. And we figured it out. And they put in massive amount of hours to do that video. So we shot that video and edited it. This is all like within like the last like 3 weeks.
Wow. So how many takes did you have to do to get that right?
I think we did about 5 takes. We did 5 takes. I think on the 6th one we did maybe 7. The 5th take I think is the one we used. The ones after we realized we were just, when you're performing, when it's good. Like you feel it at the end. You're like, that take was dope. I felt good about it.
Yep.
And and I've done a plethora of one take videos. That's kind of my thing, and that's like my shtick. And so I really feel it. Like if I feel it, I'm like, nah, it was this one. And so yeah, it wasn't very many takes. It was about the same amount as Ignorantro, which is about 7.
Wow. So Ignorantro was 7. Like, what did you have to do in this video? What had to be done in post production?
So the way that
I saw Cortland putting on, I think he put it on Twitter or Facebook, that it was just a beast in post production.
Yeah, it was. It was way more of a beast in post production than it was to perform it.
Sure.
They literally, and I was actually in the other room with Brian finishing up like the master and stuff, because we at the label, because we're so like bent on like excellence. We're working to the last minute, to the last second all the time on everything, just because we want it to be the best we can do. And so I didn't really even get to see much of the editing process, but I just know when we were taking breaks and seeing each other, they were looking exhausted. But I would say probably like 5 days. Yeah, they were exhausted. And this is like all that week. So maybe like 5 days at 8 hours a day. I don't know what they did, on their downtime. But in order to pull that video off, the way that the Freedom 360 camera works is it's 6 cameras all on one, like kind of on a GoPro. And so there's one pointing up, down, and then in every direction. And then you take those 6 angles and they come out kind of like I guess I could describe it like a soccer ball, like the different patches on a soccer ball. And so they had to stitch them together. But then also there was an overhead, like we hung the camera over the table and there's a giant pole that you don't see on the video because that took time in post to mask out the camera. and to mask out the pole. Also, like things like with the paper plane flying from one shot to the other, there was shadowing and ghost effects that were going on that they were just spending hours trying to figure out and troubleshoot how to do. And those guys did an amazing job to take on that task, to literally the week before say, how do we do this? I've never seen this. And then to go in and do it, like that's some engineering. Like that's on some rocket science stuff. So I'm really happy with the product. It's really I guess it's really surreal to actually have a product that's out with my name on it, that someone in technology, that hundreds of people or thousands of people are like, this is the first time I've ever seen this technology.
Yeah.
And that's like, I can't even believe that I'm involved with something like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I had heard about the technology and hadn't really seen a music video with it. And I saw it the first time I saw it. Jacob had posted it on wadeallradio.com on the site.
Uh-huh.
And so I clicked the link on the phone, and so I'm seeing you and Thomas sitting next to each other and your hands stretching, and I'm like, nah, this don't look right. Like something ain't right.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that was my first experience. I got halfway through the verse, I was like, nah, this something ain't right. Something wrong with my browser. Something ain't right. And so let me
that's
go to
funny
the
that you
computer.
thought that. That's cool. Like that's cool that you thought that, because a lot of people had been experiencing it like that, and then they were like, I don't get what the fuss is. And then they switched their browser, or they looked at it in a YouTube app, and they were just like, what the heck?
Yeah, I actually went to the browser first. Like I got on, and Chrome is my normal joint, so I didn't even, so I turned it on, and I was looking. I was like, this ain't right either. And then I think I clicked the little thing at the top, and it started moving, and I was like, you got to be freaking kidding. I was like, this whole video is like this? It's like, you got to be kidding me. And yeah, man, that's just it's genius, bro. Creativity is crazy, bro.
And that's one thing that adds to that, like that Disney experience. The fact that you can, or even a Steve Jobs type thing, the fact that you can remember what your experience was in even seeing that video means a whole lot, about what I'm about as far as like presentation. And everyone has a different story of how they saw it, or how long they stared at the table before they realize, oh wait, this thing moves. Like what I've seen is people, they'll look, and we won't tell them, but they'll look and they'll stare at the table, and then all of a sudden they get restless and they move their hands, and then it starts moving, and they're like, what the heck? And so to see that reaction that was just, we couldn't have planned that. Like that just added like icing on top of icing to the rollout.
I got an idea for you.
What's that?
You should go set up in a random public place that has Wi-Fi and a laptop, and get a Canon 5D or 7D or some camera like that. And you should pick random strangers and say, hey, can I film your reaction to you watching this music video for the first time?
Oh, that's dope. That's dope.
I come up with a good idea once every 6 months. You should, like, seriously. Like, people that have no idea who you are, not Christian, just get their reaction to watching that video, bro. Because it's special, man.
Dude, and especially out, I'm even thinking, especially out here where we work in downtown. I mean, will really get people's emotions too, because people out here on Fremont Street on vacation. You know what I mean? So they're in Las Vegas, they're in Disneyland anyway. So that's a dope idea, bro. Like we're gonna do that.
Yeah, man, that's it. Yeah, bro. Like I can't even, like, honestly, the last time I had a reaction like that to a music video in Christian rap, or by a Christian rapper, was probably like when the Frontliners, I don't even know if you remember this video. They had a song with DJ Morph on DJ Morph's album called Can't Break Us. And it was like one of the first HD videos, and they had the text on the screen, and the paint going in the background. Like, that would be a dope video if it came out today. But it was just so much more advanced than everything else.
Wow.
But yeah, bro, that was probably like 7-8 years ago.
Yeah, that was before I got
Frontliners. I was gonna say you might not have never even heard of them, bro.
No,
Like,
I heard of them because I'm a Wit fanatic.
yeah.
But I mean, but I wasn't. By the time I found out about the frontliners, Wit was kind of already doing his thing. So I found out about the frontliners by finding out with Wit, if that makes sense.
I got you. So he was probably doing Hell's Paradise with Dre.
Yeah, he was on Hell's Paradise. Yep.
Yeah.
And I was emailing him. I remember he had a beat called Aston Martin Music, and I remember it was on Invisible Gorilla on Bandcamp, and I hit him up because I was listening to that beat, and I sent him an email. This is like 2010. I sent him an email, and he told me the price of it, and I was like, "Oh man, it's definitely worth it. I can't afford that. I'm just in my room, but maybe I'll see you soon, bro." And so, I mean, I hadn't. So when I met him for the first time, like 2 years after that, he was like, "Dude, I like your music, da da da." And I was like, "Bro, I've been following you forever, you know." And he pulled up the email. He was like, "Oh my God, this is you." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I appreciate you being, cool."
Yeah, that's interesting, bro. That is funny, man. Funny how small the world is, bro.
Yeah, man. And it's also funny too, kind of going to the whole thirst thing, because I talk about thirst on the album a lot too, which is pretty much, I don't know how would you define thirsty? What's thirsty? Like, you needing attention, I guess, like absolutely needing attention and doing whatever it takes to get a particular type of attention, I guess.
Yep. I think that's a good definition.
Yeah. And, and in the culture, thirst usually means that you are looking for sexual attention. So, just to put that out there. So, but my experience as an independent artist, I remember Eshawn Burgundy, he was encouraging me years ago, and he was like, "Dude, your stuff is dope because you're not trying to impress anybody. You're out there doing your thing." And for independent artists, like with that case with Wit, for the Lord to be able to put on my heart to say, to know that with what he's given me and with drive and tenacity, I will meet Wit again sometime. I don't need to be extra thirsty to try to get his attention. His attention will come when God allows it. I think that's something that has been like helping to shape my posture as far as maturity in the music industry, because the music industry is very thirsty. And I would hope that us as artists, and especially being artists that are validated by Christ, that we can have patience to not be so thirsty. Like, if that makes sense. Like, I talk about the thirsty elephant sipping tea in the room. Like, we really got to stop like looking for validation from people or looking for what people have, and really just look to the Lord, and he'll give us everything that we need in the time that we need it. And so, yeah, so that's my 2 cents on, being thirsty and tagging people in your mixtape song and spamming everyone's boxes that you think has influence. Like, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yo, I might cut this piece of the interview out and just put this little clip out as JGivens speaks on being thirsty, because it's like, bro, you just said a mouthful in like 90 seconds.
Dope. That's how I feel, man. We trying to sit at this cool kids table so bad, and it's just, and we don't even know how to define the cool kids table. We just know that it's over there, and everyone wants to be over there, and it's just like it's just a table, and these are just people with the same lunch that you got. That's good, and then when you get there, then what? You sit at the cool kids table. Then what happens tomorrow? You sit there again. And the way that our heart's desires work, we sit at the cool kids table enough, and then we get sick of it. We spend all this time praying for something, and then it's just gonna go away. The interest will go away, and we'll look for something else because we're never satisfied. So
I love it, bro. I love it, man. What's next for JGivens, man? The album comes out September 25th. Are you planning a tour? What's the post rollout look like?
Yeah, so the post rollout, that's a good question. So we have so much content that we just accumulated for this project. Wow. That we have a ton.
Bro, you already got what, 3 or 4 music videos?
4 singles and 3 videos. Yeah. and those videos, I mean, like 10 to Get In, those were ideas that we jumped on and did like kind of spontaneously. Braille had the idea to push the singles, which really helped, which really worked for us. But the post rollout is the actual film. It's a short film that Christian and I wrote. We wrote it alongside with me writing the album. We haven't even shown that yet. So we want to do a short film, which we're going to put out. We're going to put out a what's it? A public service announcement? No, it's not a public service announcement, but a video to raise funds for it, because I really think that we can pull off something that's really good artistically, that will show the different allegories of the album. We want to use the album as a soundtrack, as a score for the film. And I would hope to get it in like Museum of Contemporary Art and to get it into galleries and stuff, and kind of do kind of the high art things that a lot of these hip hop cats are doing, now with collaboration. And, one of my inspirations is how, as far as engagement, is like, Kanye, as far as hip hop, for him the way that he takes, like, for example, graffiti bombing, he'll take that aspect of hip hop, and then futuristically he'll project his face on the side of the Alamo and do New Slaves. Like, to me, I was like, oh, that's hip hop. That's bombing. And so that's one thing. The short film will definitely be working on that, and hoping that people will help us to just gather contributions, because we got a dope team behind us. I mean, everyone can see the works of Christian and his team doing Kristen Gray's Wanted video, Bienvenue Ignorantro, and a plethora of other things. And then as far as shows, I'll be working during October, but I'll be back in the States in November, because I'm going on a 10-day tour of Denmark and France in a band called Otis Stacks. And so we'll be opening up for Black Alicious in Paris, I think, and doing some stuff in France. So that's going to be really exciting. And then when I get back, I want to be able to actually do a Fly Exam tour. I don't know if it'll be called that, but there's some different songs that I want to perform. I want to perform differently for this tour. So it won't necessarily be like me just getting on stage doing my set like what people have seen before. It'll be kind of more theatrical, not theatrical, but just different elements. Like, Beautiful Eulogy has lights in their set. Propaganda has a audio visual thing, and I want to do some. There's an element that I want to do in my set that'll make my live show even better, hopefully. So yeah, that'll have to be like crafted in a way where I'll feel comfortable with presenting it. And so, I'll tour definitely, but I'll be working, and I'm on a tour with Sean Simmons. I think it's a couple of dates in Toronto and Buffalo at the beginning of October. So I'll be there.
Yeah,
and
I heard about that.
Yeah. So it was dope working with him. I'm on his album. We shot a video in Chicago in the projects. I don't know why these black people want to do their stuff in the projects so bad. That's no, I know why. I'm just joking. That's our people. But I'm from the hood. I'm not from the projects. And anybody that's from the hood or the projects, they know what that means. And I'm definitely not from the projects in Chicago. So but that was an experience in itself. So I'm on that album, and hopefully more collaborations and stuff. So I'll be working. I'll be trying to move, and I'll be around.
Man, Jay, man, I'm really anxious to see the response that people have when they get to hear what I've heard on this album. You know what I mean? Like,
dude,
I think you got something with this, brother. Like, something that I think people will talk about for a while, and it's dope to hear that, you got some plans to promote it for a while, because I think this is a project that deserves it. Like, some projects need to just come out and then that's it, but this is a project that deserves to be promoted for a while, bro.
Dude, thanks, man. I look at LV Envy and being able to push that project from my backpack, in Vegas, and for it to last me literally, as far as even revenue on it, for it to last me for 2 years on that, it's like there's no way that with the backing that I have and the support and just the platform that I have with this, that this should not last for a minimum of 2 years. That doesn't necessarily mean I won't put out music, but I mean, I put absolutely all of my eggs in this basket for this album. This to me is my debut. This is the hardest I've ever worked on something, to be honest. And so, I mean, I got I got content for days just on this because there's so many different levels of art that we put into this. And I really created this album as if it were my last album. So it might be, you never know.
That's dope. Your last album? Nah, man, I don't believe it.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, the thing is, I'm just telling you right now, I don't believe it, bro. But what about this though? Wouldn't it be cool if? No, I don't think it would be cool. But wouldn't it be interesting if like the one album that you put out is just this class? It's like the Fugees or something. Like they never did anything else, and you know, I don't think I want the fate of the Fugees. But like to have that. What I'm saying is to put that type of effort into trying to make something classic and timeless that if I were to fall off the face of the earth, it would still resonate through time. That was really what my goal was with this. So I hope everyone enjoys it, and I hope they're talking about it and it sparks conversation and it's on somebody's mantle. You know, we did the artwork specifically for vinyl. So, I mean, the whole look of it, it was like, I want this on vinyl blown up. I want the pictures framed. Like, I want this to be, you know, something that I could add to the timeline of art.
It's dope, bro. Jay, man, I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, I appreciate you, Wado. On the Wado Radio Show. It'll never end. Once a song is stuck in my head, it never ends.
Yeah, killer.
On the Wado Radio Show. On the Wado Radio. On the Wado Radio Show. Where it's much more than music, it's ministry.